Hello and welcome to Go Ballistic from the Scottish Sun. I'm David Friel. It's another big week for Scottish football, two clubs in Europe, and who better to talk us through it all than Kris Boyd. Boyd, how are you?
I'm very well, mate. For the tough couple of days though. Burst pipe, mate. Honestly, it's no good, no good. You get some plumbers out, mate.
There's any plumbers out
I'm like
there
Super Mario. Honestly.
Super Mario. Send them down to Ayrshire.
Oh my
You're
day.
all good. You're all good. You were able to watch the Dundee derby Monday night.
Yes.
What was your thoughts?
Well, obviously Dundee United have worked all week in a game plan, and then that goes out the window after the first minute. I've got to say it was a well worked corner from Dundee's point of view. Good movie from Simon Murray, good header. But as I said, if you're Jim Goodwin and he prides himself on defensively and what that's been able to bring Dundee United this season, he'd have been bitterly disappointed. And I thought, to be fair, after that, the first half it was mostly Dundee. The second half, Dundee United, asked questions of Dundee and probably should have got themselves back level. Wasn't to be, and Dundee go marching on. Listen, it's one of those ones where there wasn't much between the teams, and I think that's been the same with the last two league games as well. But those set plays, they play a big part in the modern day, or they always have. But I think because teams are maybe setting up a little bit more cautious and don't want to get beat and harder to break down, there's more emphasis on set plays as such. And Dundee worked it well, great header, but should have been a corner.
I don't think it should have been. But
I agree with you.
I don't think Jim Goodwin thought it should have been. But I just wanted to touch on Simon Murray gets so much of the plaudits after the game, but the importance of a good goalkeeper was shown for Dundee. I thought Trevor Carson was outstanding in that closing finale.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at Dundee and the makeup of their team, there's a lot of youngsters in there. They've given a lot of youngsters opportunities this season. But the big thing is, in the spine of their team when everybody's fit is experience. You can't buy it. Trevor Carson's came in and it was difficult for him at the start of the season. McCracken had got himself involved in the Scotland setup as well. Trevor Carson's now got the number 1 jersey back, and you can understand why. I think the saves he makes, but not only that, just the presence, the communication. When you've got so many youngsters ahead of you, you're trying to organise them. Clark Robertson as well at centre back, I thought was in a relatively good game. Another experienced player, and then you go to the one that scored the goal, and Simon Murray, running right through the team for Dundee, and Tony Dock is experienced, and yes, they've got youngsters, around them, which is a good blend. But I think for Dundee, they went through a sticky spell there when you thought to yourself, it could quite easily, or they could quite easily get themselves pulled into a relegation battle. But I think there's been signs in recent weeks that they've just been needing that little bit, rub of the green. They've had that in the last few weeks, and they've still got players out injured. They'll come back. They'll be stronger. I think Tony Dock will be looking for a real strong finish to the season now. Obviously, still in the Scottish Cup as well, but I think he'll be looking at saying, can we push on and grab that top 6 place? Because you look at the teams in there right now, Motherwell really struggling. So there's a lot of football still to be played, and a lot of big games coming up. And Dundee still fancy themselves because David, I think like when you look at they've got a goal scorer, and it's key. They've got a goal scorer. They create opportunities. In fact, they don't even really need to create opportunities for Simon Murray. His work rate, the way he goes and closes people down, the way he's willing to run without the ball, he's a threat all over the pitch. Got the Wemmy as well behind him, the opportunities that he'll create. Dundee have got a good blend. Plus, in the recent weeks as well, maybe because it's been against Rangers Celtic, we've seen, but they've worked their socks off as well, which I think is key. And if you do that, you have more chance of winning games than not.
The draw was immediately after the game at Dens Park. I think with being respectful to Raith Rovers and Queen's Park, for Celtic and Rangers, good draws during a very hectic period of games.
Yeah, 100%. I think any time the Old Firm are at home, they'll be delighted with that. you've got to look at Wraith and Barry Robson done a terrific job going to Falkirk. I mean, there's not many teams win there, that's for sure. And we've seen how well Falkirk have done. Little hiccup, in recent weeks as such. There's been a few draws in there. John McGlynn will be hoping to get back to winning regular again, because the championship has got really tight. We touched on it on the show last week. It's got back to it's condensed at the top end now. And but for Barry Robson and Wraith Rovers, there's an opportunity to go to Celtic Park for him. He'll be delighted to go to Falkirk first and foremost and get the victory that's got them there. But he's another one that he's probably just been looking for that opportunity since what happened at Aberdeen, to get back and get out there, go and show people that what he's all about, away from the club that he's had coming up through and helping the youths, and then moving on to the reserve team and the first team. It's sometimes better just to get away, fresh start, and I'm sure Barry will be absolutely delighted about the opportunity, the victory the weekend. But then as soon as he sees that draw, he'll be like, oh, here we go, back to Celtic Park. It's going to be very difficult. Celtic again, they found a way to beat Kilmarnock, and for Queen's Park, they made hard work of it. Lost probably their star player in Dom Thomas, I see, as well, away to Derry City. But I'm only been spent in Ireland, that's for sure now. So I think when you look at a lot of the players who were maybe coming over here to put themselves in the shop window and maybe try and get moves elsewhere from Ireland, we might see it's already happening. A lot of players going the other way, but I don't think it'll be as frequent as we've seen in recent times, because there seems to be a bit of money there now. They're spending it, and European football as well. So fair play. And I think for Queen's Park, it's obviously a blow, because Dom Thomas, he was a captain, star player. So for him to move on, but it's too good an opportunity to turn down. And obviously, with him being a big Rangers man, he'll miss his trip to Ibrox, with Queen's Park.
In terms of other games that stood out in the draw, Scott Brown, Ayr manager, taking on his old Hibs. And also a really kind of a nice touch, Aberdeen playing Dunfermline, obviously two of the late Jimmy Calderwood former clubs meeting each other.
Yeah, I think obviously Scott Brown will be absolutely delighted that he's got a home game as well against a team that he obviously grew up playing for, and gave him his opportunity in football. But there'll be no friends come that day, that's for sure. Scott Brown will be wanting, and they're in a good place. I know Hibs are doing well, but you look at Scott Brown's tweaked the formation the last few weeks. He's getting the best again out of certain individuals within that formation. George Oakley's the one that springs to mind, the goals that he's been scoring. So a couple of loan additions as well from Scott. So, he'll be looking at this as a potential, upset. But, if Hibs go and perform the way that they have been recently, then it shouldn't be. But we've seen it before where, if the big ones think they're just going to rock up and underperform and not show they'll show respect, but in terms of going full throttle, it can come back and bite you. And you look at that's a potential banana skin. And then it's obviously sad that we've lost. A great man first and foremost, Jimmy Calderwood. I've been in his company loads of times. Obviously played against him. He actually tried to sign me, and the conversation I had. Another manager tried to take me to Aberdeen. It could have been so different. My career could have been so different. I actually met him in Magaluf. There you go, Magaluf back in the day. And he tried to get me to sign with Aberdeen that summer. But no, listen, a great character. I think when you see the manner that everybody's spoken about in the last few days, and it usually happens when someone passes away. But even through the period of time where Jimmy Calderwood had been struggling with his health, that anybody you spoke to, you'd ask the question, "How is he?" When his name came up in conversation, it was always a positive thought. Anybody you spoke to it was all. And you look at him, and that's exactly what it was. There was always a smile on his face. Although we look at management, and it can be a very lonely place, you never got that feeling with Jimmy Calderwood. There was always a smile on his face. You always felt as if he wanted the best for everybody in life. And done an unbelievable job at Aberdeen, an unbelievable job at Dunfermline, and even you could argue, that year he kept Kilmarnock in the league as well. Fantastic there. So, throughout his career, he's probably he was someone who came into even Dunfermline at first, and he did change a lot of the thinking and the way that players played. Obviously, his connections in the Netherlands and the way his upbringing there. But listen, he's a huge character. that will be sadly missed. As I said, I know he's been struggling for a few years now, but when it comes to the stage where he passes away, and I think everybody's paid tributes to a special man first and foremost. But your thoughts are with his family at this sad time.
Yeah, I think we would all echo that. Now on to the Champions League on Wednesday night. Celtic against Young Boys. Boyd, they're on 9 points after 6 games. That place in the knockout phase is within touching distance. Celtic can't mess this up, can they?
They can't. I can't. I just can't see how Young Boys could get anything from Celtic Park. If they do, it'll be Celtic's own undoing because own fault. Sorry. If they go about it in a manner where they think that they're just going to steamroll them, then it can come back to bite you. But as I said, I just can't see it. Young Boys, obviously, change of manager, everything else that's been going on. The fact that they've only scored 3 goals in the whole competition. I mean, I think if you looked at that table right now, you could argue Celtic have had some draw, haven't they? Young Boys bottom, Bratislava second bottom, RB Leipzig third bottom. They've been very lucky with the draw this year, Celtic. Very lucky. This new format has suited them.
Is that? Do you think Brendan Rodgers would agree with you?
Yeah, he has to. I mean, that's one he can't deny. That's one. There'll be plenty of things that Brendan Rodgers will. He won't agree with what I say, but that's one he has to agree with. They've been very lucky with the draw. But listen, you've still got to go and win the game. Celtic have done that, and I do expect them to take care of Young Boys on Wednesday night and comfortably, to be honest. I think that there's touching distance of at least getting to that knockout stage, and that would be huge for Celtic. I think when you look at the performances they've put in, when you go back to the Dortmund game and the way that planned out, you've got to, since then, they've been able to regroup and go again and pick up the points that they've needed. The 0-0 in Atalanta, I think, was you could argue it was a catalyst for this to turn, because if you'd have went there and lost that one heavily as well, I mean, you look at what Atalanta have done to other teams, it would have been quite easy for that to happen. But listen, it was a difficult evening for Celtic, but they hung in there, came away with a point, and you'd expect them to go and get the job done on Wednesday, because even the Villa game, I mean, there's a good chance that Villa could be through by then. So you don't want to go down there when there's a big team like playing with freedom. You want to get it done, especially in front of your own fans at Celtic Park tomorrow. And I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will be hoping the same thing. I think, to be honest, though, as well, the only issue he's really got is who does he play in midfield. It has been Engels, of recently, but Bernardo he's the one he's went to in big games, European games as well. So for me, I think that's the only decision he's got to make. Front three picks itself. Looking at it now, the back four picks itself as well. Taylor, Trusty, Carter Vickers and Johnson, and then obviously Hattati and McGregor will play in the middle of the pitch. Schmeichel goal. So, I mean, I think that the only one that you would say that there's a possible debate, or Brendan Rodgers might have some thoughts, would be Engels or Bernardo. Knowing now that we've said that, he'll probably start somebody else.
Well, you've already just told us you could have been the Aberdeen number 9, so I want you now to become the Celtic manager for a second. Who would you pick between Engels and Bernardo?
That is it. Imagine the Celtic fans, if I roll up there with a wee collar and tie, ready to rock and roll. Who would I pick? Engels. I think I would go Engels, just because, like, Bernardo, I think, is in Europe, or the games where you maybe expected to maybe not to have as much of the ball, and that little bit of maybe working harder without the ball. Bernardo probably suits that, but I think Engels, Celtic will have a lot of the ball. They'll have a lot of opportunities to, get at the Young Boys' back line, and I would imagine, Engels, in terms of that third man running as such. There's one thing about him. I think his third man runs are very good into the box. He seems to always be there with, time to spare as well, and I think that might just be key. But as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Luke McCowan that starts now.
Spoken like a future Celtic manager. What about Rangers?
Oh, I'd love to see that.
What about Rangers down at Old Trafford now? When this draw was made, it would have felt a really daunting test. But Man United, I mean, Ruben Amorim has already said they are maybe the worst team in Manchester United's history. Can Rangers go and get a result there? I personally think they can.
I think they can. I mean, you only need to look at the, Manchester United, and I get the fact that it's against, better quality, shall we say. You look at the weekend. I was speaking to one of my mates at the weekend, and then even on the show on Saturday, when it was like with Michael Dawson and that as well. I actually fancied Brighton. I mean, I did, and they've won there the last 2 times. They go to Old Trafford, and you looked at Brighton away to Ipswich on the Thursday night, and they felt as if Ipswich have made it difficult for teams there in the past, and Brighton ran over the top of them. And I know then Manchester City go and do it as well, but you kind of got the feeling that Brighton were going to Old Trafford full of confidence, and Manchester United were really, really struggled with that. That's what happened, and Rangers have got to go and try and do the same. Listen, it's a total different style of play from Rangers, but they have got players that can cause Man United problems, because I mean, defensively, they're all over the place. Rangers, away from home in Europe, they have been excellent. I mean, we can't deny it. And even, the Tottenham game where, Tottenham they're on a bad run, but it's got worse for them since, obviously, the draw at Ibrox. So I think when you look at, the game on Thursday, that is an opportunity for Rangers to go and get something. But at the same time, I think you need to be careful, because big clubs, and they usually find a way to get something that allows them to get through to that next round. And that's, Man U. I think is Man U 7th and Rangers are 8th in the group standings right now. So it's a big game for both of them, because none of them will want to drop into that playoff round as such either. They want to go straight through. And I know you've got a chance to. Rangers are at home to Union St Gilloise the following week, but I think Rangers will be, quietly confident going down to Old Trafford. And I mean, who would have thought that, with Rangers away form in the Scottish Premiership, that you're actually saying they've got a chance to go to Old Trafford and get something. But because of the way that Rangers play in Europe, the way that they've turned up for, and we can only judge it on, what's happened this season in terms of the big games. I mean, Rangers have turned up. And if they do that again, they've got an opportunity of coming away with Old Trafford with something, because you'd imagine the fans will travel in their numbers. The Old Trafford faithful will get restless, because they'll expect to run over the top of a Scottish team, and especially one who, if you look at Rangers' away record, everybody speaks about it. It's not been great. I know it's a different competition, but you just never know. And Rangers, I think they will be, quietly confident down there they can come away with something. But we speak about Brendan Rodgers only having really one decision. I mean, Philip Clement's got a right good few, especially because of the way that, obviously the squad selection at the start. There's no NCL in it, who, I think has came in and done reasonably well. Diamondi's suspended, Hadji's ineligible. Danilo's out injured now anyway, but he would have missed the game. So I mean, he has got decisions to make. And even in the goalkeeping situation as well. Jack Butland's back. I think he will start. I think Jack Butland will come straight back in. He was obviously training the other day there, and I'd imagine he'll come back in. Does Balogun make it? I mean, that's if he doesn't make it, then Rangers have got big problems. Because you might then have to play James Tavernier at right back, and that allows Yilmaz to play left back. If Balogun makes it, you'd imagine Tavernier will play at right back, and then Jeffrey and Yilmaz maybe combining that left-hand side. It might be something that, they look at. Up front will be, Egerman. It'll be who partners Raskin in the middle of the pitch. Tierney will come back in. And then, those two positions, whoever, the other number 6 beside Raskin and the one behind the striker, Tom Lawrence, I think I read that he's going to be back in training. I mean, could he come straight back in? Maybe. He might have to. So, as I said, for all, we speak about Brendan Rodgers only having one decision to make. Philip Clement has got, a good few to ponder with, and he doesn't have the luxury of Nsiala and Hadji as well.
One man you didn't mention there was Cyriel Dessers. Are we seeing the end of his Rangers career? He spoke last week, said that he wouldn't be surprised if Rangers try to get some money for him. Philippe Clement was asked about that, didn't deny it, but did say if he does go, he has to be replaced. Now, he's much maligned, he divides opinion, but he does get you goals. Where do you stand on it?
I think 100% he gets you goals. I can understand why a lot of people are critical as well. I get it. But I do think you need to be careful with this one as well. I get the fact that he's been the first choice at the start of the season. He's now finds himself out. He might be frustrated. I don't think he's a bad boy. I don't look at him and think he's going to throw the toys out the pram as such. But that might happen now if he now becomes, he's absolutely no chance of getting that jersey back. And the way it looks right now, he doesn't, because Igaman is Rangers, number 9. I think when you look at Philip Clement and the way he spoke in the past about players want to get them and move them on when their value's at the peak, he doesn't want to see players the value going down and then maybe trying to flog them. Cyriel Dessers coming out the weekend, albeit it was against Fraserville, probably should have had more, but got a hat trick. You look at the other teams out there saying, well, he's got another 3 at the weekend. I mean, they won't take into consideration who the opposition is. So there will be teams out there thinking, Cyriel Dessers will do a job for me, and rightly so. Because I think, when you look over the period of time, he has been good for Rangers. And it's a similar one to, even the Conor Golson one and the James Tavernier one. When everybody goes on about, they should be replaced. The guys that they were talking about replacing them with are never fit. Or struggle to be fit. I know Egeman's come in right now. You would have thought Danilo would have been the main, the one having spent the £6 million on, but he's always injured. So you're looking at Cyriel Dessers. He plays games. He's always there. He's always fit. And if Rangers have to go to the market and bring somebody else in, they need to bring somebody else, for me, that's better than Egeman. Or you're not strengthening your squad. And that's going to be very difficult. So I think when you look at Rangers right now, it's all well saying, yeah, sell them, get the money in. But the recruitment has to be spot on, because you don't. I don't imagine there's loads of pounds to play with. There might be an opportunity to get 1 or 2 in. I've already got one in. But you look at Cyriel Dessers, and it might be just that he's at the peak of maybe being able to move him on. But you're only going to get that if somebody comes along and gives you the money. It's the same with any player. But I think you need to be careful in this one, as I said, because he's always available. And if something's to happen to Egeman, then where do you go? And don't. I think that you look at yes, some of his performances have not, been at the level you'd expect, but he scores goals. And you speak to anybody, we need a goal scorer. We need a goal scorer. We need a goal scorer. Rangers have got one. He may be missing some chances, but I tell you what, if you go and ask a lot of the other teams who are saying we need a goal scorer, I mean, they're not even missing chances. So it's good to actually, he's still scoring and he's missing. So, I mean, for me, I'm a bit on the fence with this one. I can understand why Rangers might want to do some business if it means getting in money to go and strengthen the squad. But at the same time, it's no guarantee you're going to do that. And you've got someone there who has shown now for a period of time he can score goals. So, as I said, unfortunately, I'm going to have to sit in the fence in this one.
It's not like you. Another player in Scottish football who is a subject of transfer interest is young Lennon Miller at Motherwell. It looks like, we all expected a lot of interest this window. It's coming. It looks like Udinese have kind of set the ball rolling, £2.5 million bid. According to reports, Motherwell have knocked it back. What's his value? And also Motherwell, a bit of a sticky situation just now, not great form. Can they afford to lose him? I know he's injured, but
I think it's a difficult one. Well, I mean, from what I read, expect them back maybe the start of February. So, listen, I think it's a difficult one for Motherwell because I think they're in a false position, if you ask me. In terms of it can change pretty quickly, and the form that they've shown recently, it could change very quickly for them. I think they've picked up. I'm saying in a false position. They've picked up points in that's where they're at right now. But I think it could quickly change. And if that changes, all of a sudden everything else around the football club changes. So if you're getting a bid for Lennon Miller for that type of money, obviously has to be considered. The only thing I will say is, David, that we don't know how this is structured. We don't know if it's £2.5 million up front, then all day long you'll be like, well, it gives us an opportunity maybe to go and spend some to get a squad. But I mean, we know the way some of these deals are structured nowadays. I mean, it might be something like 200, 300, 400 grand up front, and then the rest is add-ons if he wins the Ballon d'Or. I mean, that's what usually happens now. So it might be a £2.5 million fee, but I mean, how's it actually broken down? And I think that reading between the lines, it's the first bid that Motherwell have had. So I'd imagine they'll be expected there's more to come. I mean, Udinese might come back with another one as well. But there's one thing about Lennon Miller. I think he's pretty headstrong in terms of where he wants to get to in the game. And it might be that he doesn't look at either of the old firm and think, right, I want to join them. I feel as if, I mean, when you look at him play and you listen to him and you hear things, I kind of get the feeling that he's probably more, his head's more, abroad. And because of, you look at the boys, I mean, it was alien to us a few years ago. I mean, who would have thought, there's players in Serie A, there's scattered all over the world. Not only that, having a big impact. And now you're looking at saying youngsters have got a chance to be bought by, decent Italian teams. And, there might be other ones out there. I'd imagine there'll be German teams, looking as well, because their scouting network is always on the lookout for youngsters that are doing well. And because of you think of McTominays, your Hickeys, there's been other ones who have went and done really well, but they're then having to pay a huge fee for them. You look at it, I mean, £2.5, £3 million, £4 million, whatever it would be, it might not be, the worst amount of money that's spent with somebody. Lewis Ferguson, there's another one. So there's value there in players. And not only that, I think when you look at Lennon Miller, you can tell he's switched on, dedicated to his football, and he's only going to get better. But, I look at Motherwell, and I am starting to maybe fear for them because you were there at the weekend. Yeah. Another game against Johnston. I mean, if Johnston can go and beat them, then all of a sudden it's just totally it's condensed together the league, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, can they cope without him?
It's going to be difficult because, as I said, I mean, he has been injured, but I mean, Stuart Kettlewell made him captain at 18 years of age. He's such an important influence for him, especially dead ball situations and just his presence within the side. And as you say, Motherwell, not great form, and I was really, really taken aback by the fan reaction. The fans were really, really annoyed, angry, even at the manner of the cup exit. So what a players
out just at the weekend as well, wasn't it? What was it, 2,000?
Yeah, almost 2,000 went up there. Yeah,
unbelievable. It's a great support. I think you look this weekend, and they're going to need them again. They're going to need those fans to travel numbers. Listen, I don't think there were 2,000 through there at the weekend. It's obviously a cup game, but you look at Motherwell, and I know if you just look at the table, you think, they're in a healthy position, but their form recently. I mean, they got Aberdeen at a good time as well. Were able to beat them, but I mean that's been their only win in a number of weeks. So I don't think Stuart Kettlewell will be. I mean, he might look at it and say, if I lose Lennon Miller, can I get some of that money to get a couple of players in? Because looking at it right now, that's what they need. They need to get some players in to freshen up because they're struggling right now.
We'll watch that one with interest, Boydie. Thanks again.
Sunglasses on you. This here's your sun today, mate. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the Ayrshire Riviera. You good luck finding Super Mario. If he's out there watching, get in touch and we'll pass on Boydie's number for you. We'll fix that burst pipe for you.
What am I doing?
I need
to go back and try and fix it again. Honestly, no good, mate. It's no good.
No rest. Everybody thinks
24/7, mate. 24/7. I think there should be a documentary out there. Boyd on the farm.
Boyd on the farm.
Right, I need to go.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching, everybody, and remember to stay across the Scottish Sun Sport YouTube channel, the Scottish Sun website and the newspaper every day for all the best breaking news, reaction, analysis and match reports from the big games.